partner and I have very different views on things and it's starting to affect our relationship/parenting. My partner and I started dating in September 2021 and got engaged in August 22nd. We've had our issues on and off but nothing too crazy until recently, where I'm starting to notice things that I had no idea about. Before anyone says well it's just only been 2 years, I've known him since 2017. He has 2 kids and the son, 13, lives with us. He sees his mum occasionally but I think has grown to see me more as his mum and we have a great relationship but my partner keeps making me question it. Anytime I get mad at his son for something, he accuses me of not liking his child, which I highly doubt he would be doing if I was his son's biological mother. For example, today he forgot to take his drama homework into school and I said I don't care if your teacher said you can just bring it tomorrow, it was due today so I wanted it taken in today. My partner turned around and said oh well, at least he did it, you should praise him for that, to which I said, he's 13 now, not 6, I'm not going to praise him for doing the bare minimum and what's expected of him. I don't believe this was me getting mad or being horrible, just having very small, achievable expectations that weren't met and expressing that it wasn't good enough. Bearing in mind, my partner has literally screamed at his son for being thoughtless so it's something we've been trying to ingrain in, I'm going to start using L for the son, L's head, and it seems like my partner is picking and choosing when it matters. It makes all the times he's yelled at his son, even more unnecessary. So it annoyed me that my partner is allowed be contradictory, mean and confusing to his son but my consistency and expressing valid disappointment is the problem. I think it also annoys me that I do everything a mum does when it comes to cleaning, washing his clothes, making his meals, sorting his homework, doing all the admin, etc. But when it comes to parenting him, it has to be how my partner sees fit or I'm just being mean. Anyway. Later on we had another conversation about getting a new coat and I discover that my partner thinks it's imperative to have high-end clothing with the brand's name clearly on show. I grew up getting things from charity shops. I get people grow up differently but this is something I personally can't comprehend. He says name brand is better quality, despite all of my cheap shit clothes outlasting all of his. He says that he doesn't want L to get picked on, though I don't believe this actually happens. I'm not talking about forcing him to wear clothes with holes and stains or labeled from a charity shop but just nice, unbranded, good quality clothes. He was looking at buying L a coat that was 130 pounds, when L will have outgrown it in a few months. L is constantly growing and the coat was a medium. L already wears shirts in a size large. I suggested getting him a cheaper, non-branded coat while he's still growing and we can replace it next year if necessary, to which my partner looked disgusted and immediately rejected the idea. I guess I'm just disappointed. I didn't realize he was a superficial person, who needed to show off the money he has. We do not have the money for it, which bugs me even more, so he would rather us get behind on bills just so people can be jealous of his trainers. He explicitly expressed that he thrives of people saying that's so sick, wish I had that. Even said when I was in school, I was able to give other people my branded hand-me-downs and it made them so happy. I don't know why this rubbed me the wrong way, maybe it shouldn't have but it just seemed a bit icky. Like being proud of giving your old Nikes to the less fortunate because you got new Nikes and didn't need them anymore. I think he was maybe seeing my point a bit and said this to try and feel better about himself. I totally get people having more expensive taste and having differing incomes, so I guess for me it's the distinction between need and want. Oh, and he also called me a C**NT for suggesting that everything he's saying is coming across slightly judgmental and shallow. I just can't wrap my head around this. I'm horrible because I want us to stick to what we've been saying to L and for being disappointed that he acted thoughtlessly again. Just to reiterate, it's not just about forgetting a homework, it's about him not caring enough to remember stuff and it's an issue that we've been having with him for a while. And I'm a cunt because I don't think we should be teaching L that it's important he wears everything branded or he's missing out or doesn't fit in or isn't as good as everyone else. I value education, growth, open-mindedness, and acceptance. I thought my partner valued those things but he absolutely doesn't. I have long chats with L, trying to teach him right from wrong and never raising my voice at him but remaining consistent and vocalizing when I'm proud and when I'm disappointed, without using nasty language. Yet my partner will get mad at him, call him names, belittle him, etc. then 5 minutes later act like his best friend. Sorry this is all over the place, I'm just so confused. I don't know if my partner is intentionally messing with my head, is a narcissist who has to be right and have everything his way, is just disturbingly stubborn or isn't intelligent enough to comprehend my point. Either way, it's infuriating. I'm so down for being wrong, but I rarely, I'm not perfect, act or react irrationally, and I don't believe I'm wrong in my views. I don't necessarily think he's wrong, I just don't believe his views are healthy or helpful, particularly for his child. I would love to hear other people's takes though, because I'm at such a loss, and these are just today's examples. Please remember, my partner, his son, the whole family, view me as L's mom and are totally fine with me parenting him, until I do it differently to them. Edit. Sometimes I wonder if my partner overreacts and then tries to retract it, when reprimanding his son, because he worries his son will want to go and live with his mom instead. I get having that worry, but I don't think it's healthy to tread on eggshells around his 13-year-old son and feel like he has to get him better / more expensive things to win him over. I think where I'm different is I want to provide him with a good education, strong morals, and independence. Not Nikes. Comment. You guys need to go to both marriage counseling and parenting classes. Your fiancé needs to either allow you to be a parent, or he needs to have zero expectations of you helping out. You need to lower your expectations of the child. He's 13 and is going to forget stuff. Then you need to follow that with, are you giving me permission to engage as a parent? I'm not willing to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I will say this is a fine line, however. You obviously want what's best for him, but this continued attitude can and sounds like it will snowball into you never having anything nice to say. It's expected that he does school projects too. Are you going to not praise him when he gets them done? Otherwise, I wish I had better advice, because the epicenter of the issues are the mismatched parenting styles and philosophies. Next story 2. I'm thinking of leaving my boyfriend, 23M, after a potential ASD diagnosis. My boyfriend and I have been together for about 1.5 years now. He is extremely loving, he calls me beautiful every day like it's my name, and always tries to keep in touch and spend time online as we live a couple of hours apart. He gives me the princess treatment when I'm with him, and he's there for me when I'm at my worst, or at least he tries to be. A bit about me: I am a Pakistani intern living in London. I have recently been diagnosed with ADHD, which explains a lifetime of being extremely emotional, unproductive, unmotivated, depressed, anxious, unable to manage finances, and an inability to work hard and perform well with uni/work. I am getting help for it in hopes that I can confidently be the best person I know I can be. A bit about him: he is British, and has lived in a beautiful small town all his life. He has struggled with severe bullying in school, resulting in him dropping out, keeping jobs, and trauma from his mom's abusive boyfriends, one of which had touched him inappropriately when he was a child. His dad was never there, and has publicly rejected him via Facebook. He has a very short fuse, and will often get angry at small things. He is socially anxious, he feels very down and depressed, and he calls himself a failure, but defends himself vigorously if there's even a slight criticism of him. Our relationship had started out really strong and we wanted to make a lifetime commitment, but recently I have been having issues. He makes racist comments about my family and culture, gets uncontrollably angry and uses harsh language, smokes a lot of weed, asks me for money and gets angry/guilt trips me if I say no. I'm aware of his many issues, so I try to encourage him to get help, but he says that therapists/psychiatrists are useless, they'll just tell you what you already know. I'd never ask them for help. Somehow, his sister had convinced him to see a doctor and he wanted me to come. The doctor said he's showing unmistakable symptoms of ASD, PTSD, and ADHD. When we left, he was taken by surprise. I assured him that everything he blamed himself for all his life was never his fault, and encouraged him to learn more about himself by researching. But he said it doesn't make a difference and seems like he will let this pass. I am concerned for the future of our relationship if he doesn't get the support he needs. I can't take any more of the harsh words much longer, but I can't leave him to deal with this alone. He says I am his only safe place, so I hold back when he's rude. I only do it for the sake of staying by his side, supporting him and gently encouraging him to get professional support, but it tears me apart to watch him reject any help and talk about how he's worthless. Staying in this relationship, he makes me feel so loved, but also disregarded, even scared of him. I don't want to, but I feel like I have to leave. Would I be making a massive mistake by abandoning him to deal with things himself? Story 3. Getting rid of a problematic crush on friend. Basically, I am in this friendship group, and I had a thing for friends since like May. It started when I noticed him checking me out, and he would flirt quite a bit when drunk and then even sober. I don't really get with men these days because I kept having weird experiences with them where it would hurt me. One time he ran to a bar to see me do an open mic. It was a 30-man run. I don't know why he did that. He invited me to his room sometime and we used to go on nighttime walks etc. It seemed like both of us liked each other. I wasn't really looking for a relationship but he just intrigued me. Here comes the mind games. He once had a girl in his room he invited whilst I was there to show that he had other options. Then he would insist on walking me home and insist on buying food, which was weird. Honestly, I was getting annoyed at this point because he is quite manipulative and lies a lot. But I liked being alone with him. I noticed his smell. I don't know, it was just weird, the whole thing. I decided I was going to ignore him, but then when all friends were in the bar we found ourselves sat next to each other, touching legs on purpose. Always choosing to be close to one another. This began to overwhelm me because he just did that just to flirt with my housemate later on who has a BF. I confronted him shortly because I wanted to put an end to all this. He denies that he had a crush on me, then said he might have. I think he did, since he would go out of his way a lot of times to flirt when he didn't need to. Then he gushes about how he thought I was out of his league, then said how he put me in the category of lesbians in the group. I am queer as is he, but I have always been explicit about how I liked men. Then I kept telling him quite sternly that his lying and mind games need to stop and that I don't believe a word he says ever. Every time he tried I told him to stop. Then he starts crying. There were no tears. He was faking. Then he starts faking a panic attack. It was so contrived. He repulsed me that time. After all that, he still was like, I will walk you home. I want you to be safe. I just left the conversation thinking he was a sociopath. Now it's been 2 weeks-ish since that and he was avoiding me but still doing small talk. But now recently he is going out of his way to talk to me. Before he would be uncomfortable standing next to me. Now he is going out of his way to talk to me directly in a group of 10. He is just rambling was talking about fetal alcohol syndrome and showing me pics of his siblings. I don't know how to comprehend this. After all this, I am still somewhat attracted to him. I don't know why this is the case. I sleep with other people and I still think of him. I also don't want to cause big group drama. No one really knows about the back and forth and we have both been quite subtle about it. How do I get over this? I have been provided with multiple red flags and the attraction is not waning.